Right, hello there people. Welcome to a video from Science Mr. Robertson, your way to learn about things in science at your pace. There'll be lots of new words today, but the more you understand here, the easier it's going to be in class time. Living things. So many things are alive. I'm alive. You're alive. You're alive. The plants in the forest are alive. The spiders crawling around are alive. This pen is not alive. This pen is not alive. This board is not alive. There are some simple rules to decide how we decide if things are living or not. And there's a secret way of remembering this that we remember as Mrs. Gren. 7 key words. All living things do these words. All living things in some way can move. All living things can do some movement. I can move. Animals can move. It's less obvious for plants, but they will be able to move. Some of them will direct themselves towards the sunlight, for example, because they need sunlight to live. All living things as well, they do a very important science word called respiration. That's a super important science word. What that word means is that these things can create energy. They need to do some chemical processes that use energy to survive. We'll do a lot more work on this, but this is the actual thing all living things do to use energy to make themselves do things. It's all about respiration and energy. All living things as well know something about what's around them. They have some sensitivity to what's around them. Now for humans and other animals, we have things like we can see, we can smell, we can taste, we can touch, we can hear, and those kind of senses. But sensitivity can be much more, like the plant knowing which way is up towards the sun and which way is down towards the ground and towards water. It is still sensing its environment. And even after that, they will grow as well. So the plants will grow to become larger. Humans will grow as well. So growth, all living things are able to grow. Our second R here is for reproduction. All living things are able in some way to reproduce, either to have babies or to produce more offspring. Plants can make new plants. So we have reproduction as something all things can do. They are able to make more of themselves. The E, I think, is one of the funniest ones. It stands for excretion. Excretion, which is a horrible science word for what in human talk at least is pooing or weeing. It's getting rid of wastes or breathing out. Breathe in and breathe out. When we get rid of wastes, we are talking about excretion. Not all the things I eat are useful for me. Some of those will need to leave my body. I will have wastes. That's excretion. And finally, I actually need some things to survive. So those, I talk about nutrition. Those things that I need to take in to survive. I'm not just having wastes, I need to take in more good things in. So that would be nutrition. Make sure you can all see. Wonderful. So living things need to do all 7 of those to be living things. If I talk, for example, about all animals, they'll all do this. All plants will do this. Even simple bacteria can do all these things. It gets a bit more complicated for viruses. Super tiny, just like a code of DNA and genes in a little protein shell, because you don't really have a way of knowing what's around them. They can only reproduce through using another cell's DNA. So viruses, we're not sure. But bacteria and anything bigger than that, they are definitely all living things. And all of these living things are made up of cells. Cells are the building blocks of all life. There are billions and trillions of cells in every human body. Some living things, though, are only 1 cell big. Some of the simplest bacteria are just 1 cell big, and others are many billions. But nevertheless, the basics of every cell is still all the same. These are still important building blocks for life. So, every cell has the following things. Every cell is going to have something inside of it called a nucleus. The job of that nucleus is to protect and store all the genetic information. This is the information that gives the code for how to make the cell. Because if that cell wants to make more cells, it needs to know how to do it. And that's the special codes of genes and genetic information you find in the middle of cells. You will find around the outside too a layer called a cell membrane. The cell membrane is around the cell, and that protects it. It controls what can go into the cell and what can go out. It's a very important job. Controls what goes in and out of the cell. And finally, you've got all of this stuff, I'll make that arrow a bit better, around the outside, which is called, horrible science word, called cytoplasm. In this here, that is where all of the chemical reactions happen in the cell. So here, any processes to make energy, for example, they will happen here in the cytoplasm. Every cell in every living thing is going to have these 3. Every one. If it's a plant cell, it's a tiny bit more complicated, because plants need a bit more help from their cells to work together. So I'll keep that up there as my normal, I guess, animal cell. But if it's a plant cell, firstly you'll notice plants have a much stronger outside. Still has the cell membrane in here, but this on the outside is called the cell wall. The cell wall is very strong material. Plants don't have muscles, but they need to stand up straight to find sunlight. So they need to have extra strength in the cells to be able to stand tall. But even then, if you have really strong walls but a weak middle, it's still going to fall down. A lot of a plant cell is made up of something with another horrible science word. It's called a vacuole. Vacuole. What the vacuole is, it's lots of sap, it's lots of liquid, that's pressure, and it's filled, so it pushes the plant out. If there's no vacuole, it would collapse inwards, but this keeps it pushing outward, keeping the plant standing up strong and proud as possible. So it does a great job at keeping the plant upright. The vacuole here keeps plant upright. Both of these here doing the same job. But why do plants need to be tall in the first place? They need sunlight. They use sunlight for a super important process where plants can take sunlight to make energy. That is called photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is how plants make energy. Special key word. Photo comes from light, like taking a photo, and synthesis is making of. To do this, you'll notice all the plants are the same colour. They all have parts that are green. The green bits, and I have a green pen, lucky me, are in the leaf like this here. They are called chloroplasts. And they are able to trap sunlight and make energy from it. And of course the energy can be stored for when the plant needs it, maybe to grow. So you have all of these extra things that are in the plant cell. But of course as well you have a nucleus and all the cytoplasm around. So the plant cell is a little more complicated than most of the animal cells. However, if you know what they both need to live and all the things living things can do, then actually this biology can be quite simple. It's all about understanding what life needs to live. Lots of new words here. Do your best to learn them. If you need to watch it back and make some notes, feel free. And if you understand all of this, you've done very well for this video. I'm Mr. Robertson. Have a nice day.